What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? How about those Atlanta Braves? They have now beaten the Miami Marlins, and for the first time in 19 years, the Braves are headed to the National League Championship. Obviously, a very big deal around Atlanta, and just a very good day for the Atlanta Braves. A lot of guys to highlight, but I think the biggest one is undoubtedly Travis d'Arnaud. I mean, a guy who wasn't on the Braves last year, got him in the offseason. Alex Anthopoulos went and got him to help out with that offensive drought that Josh Donaldson was going to leave. And a guy who's just really performed this postseason. Wow, what a series he's had. 2 homers. He almost got another one today. Just a very outstanding day. Another guy to highlight. You guys are talking about him in the comment section right now. Kyle Wright. Wow, what a performance! You know, a guy who struggled this year. Let's be real. A guy who is really had trouble finding himself, I think, on the mound. And lately, right before the postseason began, he did find himself, and he solidified his spot in the rotation in the postseason. I think today gave us 6 innings. I think only 4 hits throughout the entire day today. The bullpen was great. Just an outstanding performance all the way around. Obviously, a shutout, 7-0 over the Marlins. And the Marlins are a good team. They can score runs. That is something that they can do. They did that versus the Cubs, and we just shut them out. So one thing that this series does that makes me feel a lot better going forward is that one, I mean, we know about the offense, right? But now we can trust our pitching all the way around. We knew the bullpen was good, but we didn't know how they were going to do in the postseason. They've overperformed, in my opinion. Now you can trust your starting pitching, right? So where do we go from here? I'm just going to do a quick where do we go from here, and then I'm going to get into you guys' questions. So obviously we are going to face either the Dodgers or the Padres, the winner of that series. That one it could finish up today if the Dodgers sweep too. But if the Padres win and they stretch out, then we'll have to wait and see. But it's likely going to be the Dodgers. I think we've all sort of come to grips with that. They have a 2-0 lead, and you know how big of a deal that is and how hard it is to come back from it. So the probability is that we're going to face the Dodgers, whether we know tonight or tomorrow or, of course, later on. But, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to get some of you guys' questions real quick. Tyler Sohn, Kyle Wright surprised me. He didn't surprise me. I was really hoping in that third inning that they wouldn't take him out. He got to a little bit of trouble, bases loaded. He got out of it, came out for another 3 innings, so just a very, veteran performance. You're going to have runners on in the postseason, right? He was able to get out of it. Hey, Jesus, JW Taylor, how do you like the matchup with assuming the Dodgers? With the Dodgers, we know we're going to see Kershaw. We know we're going to see Buehler. They got pitching. They have a good offense. Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Cody Bellinger. They have a good offense. The Braves can beat anybody. They can compete with anybody. So I like it. The Braves certainly have a chance if that's what you're asking me. I would say that the Dodgers are likely favored, but it's a 7-game series. Anybody can beat anybody in 7 games. That's why I was so worried about this 3-game series with the Reds we had earlier on. I think we could beat the Dodgers. I really do. We're going to have to show up. We're going to have to perform at our best. But, yeah, I think we can beat the Dodgers. But that's for tomorrow. That's tomorrow talk. Right now we're going to focus on the Marlins. How about them Braves? That's right, Anthony. Josh Tomlin saved Kyle Wright's season. Is that Fremorg? I hope I'm saying that right. I hope that's how you intended to say it. Yeah, Josh Tomlin has been an influence to a lot of guys this season. Kyle Wright, AJ Minter. There's a lot of guys that veteran has been able to, to help out. A great day, but I won't let it get to my head. I've had my heart broken so many times in the past. Just got to pat ourselves and look forward to the next series. I agree with you there, little Gipper. I completely agree with you. Yeah, for sure. Tyler, do you think the Braves have a chance for the World Series? Well, they have, let me see, they have a chance out of about 8 teams, right? So, yeah, they have a chance. They are a good team. They are a great team. They have a fantastic offense. They have probably the best bullpen in baseball, at least one of the top 3. And they're coming around to get some starting pitching. Kyle Wright, I think, proved himself today he's earned some trust. Ian Anderson's had trust. And Max Fried, Max Fried's a guy that we can count on. He didn't have his best stuff in game 1 of this series, but you can't judge one game for a guy like Max Fried who's carried the team this year. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll have his head straight, and I think he'll have his stuff versus the Dodgers. Let me see. Regardless of what happens during the postseason going forward, the Braves have improved from last year. Yeah, they've improved. Absolutely. Their offense has gotten better. Unfortunately, with, Soroka going out and, just, the opt outs and the, underperformances by some guys, their starting pitching has taken a fall. But, I think all around they're a better team. I think they're going to continue to be a better team and really grow into themselves. A guy like Dansby Swanson, 2 years ago, who would have thought we'd be talking about him right now in the year he's had? Marcell Ozuna was a great pickup. Do we have him next year? We're going to have to wait and find out. They've been a great team this year. I've been really impressed with how, the offense has been able to carry the team through the season. And, I've been very, very impressed by them, to be frank here. With that said, next year, even if you don't get Marcell Ozuna back, your offense is still going to be stout. You're still going to have a good offense. And, there's a chance we get him back. So with that said, and Duvall, and he's another one. So with that said, I think next year around, halfway through the season, around the All-Star break, you're going to get Soroka back. You're going to have, think about this. You're going to have Soroka. You're going to have Fried. You're going to have Ian Anderson as a number 3 guy. And you're going to have Kyle Wright, and then you have a 5th spot. That is a world away from what we have right now at starting pitching. So, yeah, I think next year, we're going to be right back. I think we're going to continue to get better. And, there might be a transitional period where Soroka's getting back into it, but I think he'll be ready to go by the end of the year. I think he'll be ready to go for the postseason. So, yeah, we certainly improved. Let's go Braves. Woohoo! Ryan Butts. Yeah, man, I hear you. You should have seen me in here a few minutes ago. I was right there with you. Were you expecting us to sweep the series? After game 1, yes. After game 1, I would say so, because I thought game 1 would be the biggest challenge, just to, for the Braves to show up and be able to do what they did. And especially, they're aces on the mound. After they showed themselves game 1, I was like, okay, we're going to lose in 4 games or less. And I thought there was a good chance we could sweep. I don't ever like predicting a sweep, because a sweep is not an easy thing to accomplish. That is just not something that happens all the time, especially in the postseason. So I didn't want to predict it here. But after game 1, yeah, I had a feeling. Before game 1, I was a little bit worried, I would say. Just, we've all seen how postseason series can go, and the 3-game series versus the Reds made me nervous, and but we got past that. After we got past that, I wasn't necessarily worried about the Marlins, but the Marlins are a scary team. Like Brian Snickers said about the Braves, they're dangerous, and the Marlins have a lot of ways they can score. They play small ball, as a lot of people would say. So I wouldn't say I was worried about it. I wouldn't say that I expected us to sweep, because I think expecting to sweep is just a bit much in the postseason. But I was happy they did. I thought they would win the series for sure. I thought they would win it before they got to the 5th game. I really think Ozuna is going to stay. Look how much fun he's having. I think Ozuna doesn't seem to be a money-hungry guy. He could have had a 3 to 4 year deal with the Reds last year for, I think, $50 million. He turned it down to have a 1-year deal with the Braves. And I'm glad he did. Obviously, he's had a great year. It wouldn't surprise me if the Braves offered him a couple years, and he stayed in Atlanta because he's been so successful here. Coaching makes a difference sometimes. When you get around players that you like, Acuna, Albies, most notably, it wouldn't surprise me. But at the end of the day, he's earned a contract equivalent of Bryce Harper. I'm not saying he's going to get it. I'm not saying he's going to want it, but he has earned that kind of contract based on the year he's had. He's earned that type of contract. It might not be $300 million, but it could be that per year for a shorter amount of time. That is what I'm trying to say. I think Ozuna could stay. I would like him to stay, especially if we have a DH. The guy's just offensively kills it. I worry about him in the field, but if his bat's doing what it's doing, then I there's some leeway there for me. I think Pache should get at least 1 start over Markakis, maybe when a lefty like Kershaw is pitching. Maybe. I was hoping he'd have a pinch hit tonight, with being up 7-0. He, obviously he caught the last ball of the game in the outfield. He had some appearances in the outfield. I think he's there for late inning defense. But give him some experience. Give him a couple at bats. I wouldn't mind him getting a start. It'd be a big deal for him. Give him some postseason experience next year. Make him have been there before. I wouldn't mind that at all, Tyler. To be honest with you, but we're gonna have to wait and see. It'd be interesting. Ronald Tabade. I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm terrible with pronouncing names, so forgive me. Hi, Tyler. Greeting from the Philippines. Hey, how you doing? Fan since '93. Just gonna ask, do you think they could get past the Dodgers' juggernaut offense and very good pitching? Thank you for answering my question. Yeah, you're welcome, Ronald. The Dodgers have a great offense. They have a lineup that's probably right there with the Braves, if not better. With that said, there's not any holes in the Braves offense. It's going to be what it's going to be is this: who shows up at the right time. We saw, how many base runners did the Reds have the other day that they didn't get across the plate? At the end of the day, the game is who gets across the plate. And the Braves have been able to do that more than the other two teams they've played. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to whether or not the Braves can get past the Dodger, can make runs happen. And I think that's a good way to put it. Make runs happen. It's not always going to be a long ball. Sometimes it's going to be you get a man on third and you bunt him in, or you knock him in, whatever the case may be. They're going to have to be able to do that. The Dodgers, same thing. The Padres, if they want to beat the Dodgers, they got to do the same thing. Teams that haven't beaten the Braves have not even been able to put runs on the board. The Reds, the Marlins, 4 out of 5 of these games that the Braves have played have been scoreless for the other team. That is not a recipe for success. The pitching has been magnificent so far. Credit to the bullpen, credit to the starting pitching as well. They have been magnificent. Can that always happen? I don't know. Can they get past the Dodgers? Yeah, they have the potential. Can they do it? That's up to them. They have to show up on the field. And do I think they can? Absolutely. That's the best answer I can give you. They have to show up, though. What's up, John? How you doing, buddy? Floyd Donnelly, go Braves, go. Absolutely. Go Braves. Let me see. Losing my place here. As much as I love Flowers as a catcher, I'm glad he hasn't played during the playoffs so far. We needed d'Arnaud's bat at the plate. What a pickup. Tyler Flowers just isn't a guy that performs, offensively too well. And I don't mean that to knock him down or anything, but I was hoping d'Arnaud would take at least, we all knew he was going to take the head of it, but I wanted him to play every day. And I know that's a lot. I know it's a lot to ask out of somebody, playing catcher. I like Tyler coming out to, if like in the 13 inning game, he came out in the later innings. I don't mind that, but I want d'Arnaud at the plate too. Based on his performance this series, why wouldn't you want him at the plate? I completely agree with you. Me and my dad were talking about that earlier today. I'm glad he's at the plate for the majority of the time, and I want that to continue. Nervous for the Dodgers now. Well, we were nervous about the Marlins too. There, Shay. Just remember, at one point we were worried about the Marlins. Just because of the postseason curse that the Braves seem to have. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. And I know that's not a popular feeling when you're going in to play a team like the Dodgers, but I'm excited. I want to see how the Braves compete against the Dodgers this year. We actually have not seen this matchup this year, which is pretty atypical. The 60-game season, it got shortened, and we haven't seen the Dodgers. So I'm curious how they match up. The Dodgers are undoubtedly the favorite, but the Braves are right there with them. Trust me. I don't think you're going to see I just don't see it happening where the Braves just get shut down. I just don't see that happening. I could be wrong. I've been proven wrong before. I just don't see that happening. I think the Braves are right there with the Dodgers. I think they can compete with them, but they have to show up. At the end of the day, they have to show up, and they know that. They have to show up. Toughest series coming up. Yep, you're right, Floyd. Seth Mellon, every Atlanta fan. What? I don't know what you mean by that, to tell you the truth. Braves back coming alive. Yep. Atlanta Kid. Hey there, Blake. Not going to lie, Tyler. I'm crying tears of joy right now. Never seen this happen before. I'm so in the moment. Still got 8 more hills to climb. Yeah, you're right. John Surratt, my buddy. This is definitely going to be a competitive series, but I like the Braves in 6. Walker Buehler has a blister on his throwing hand, and I think that's going to be big. Maybe, but just remember he's got a few days to recover, so we're going to have to wait and see. I think the Padres have proven. The Padres, to me, are a very similar offense compared to the Braves. And they've proven that The Dodgers are too, but the Padres have proven that runs can be scored on Kershaw. Kershaw can lose. He gave up back-to-back homers last night. It can happen. It's happened before. He has been notably unsuccessful in the postseason. It can happen. Don't let it be known. The Dodgers have also never won a World Series or had not won a World Series since the 80s. So yeah, they can beat the Dodgers. The Dodgers are not you know they're a great team. Don't read this wrong, but they're not unbeatable. It's not impossible to beat them. They can do it. We're just gonna have to wait and see if they can happen. Brandon Kirkwood, would be nice to have Max Fried, Anderson, Wright, Soroka, and Bauer. Take Bauer out of that. I think it would be nice just to have those four: Max Fried, Anderson, Wright, and Soroka. If we had Soroka, I'd feel very good about going into this series. That's the only thing that makes me a little bit worried is that we don't have that second ace. And Ian Anderson has proven to be a guy that we can count on. Kyle Wright today was a guy that we can count on, but Soroka would make a world of difference for obvious reasons. It'd be like having another Max Fried next year at the trade deadline when we eventually get him back. It's going to be like picking up a big free agent. It really is similar to how Ozzie Albies was this year. I'm very excited for Soroka's return, but that's just not in the cards this year. I hope I hope he returns sooner rather than later, and the Braves can do okay without him. They've made their way so far without Soroka and without a lot of starting pitching, and they've made it work. Their bullpen has been excellent. We saw Max Fried on Monday, or in game one, rather. Only pitched 4 innings, and the bullpen came and shut it down. And that's what we're going to need. We're going to need some of that throughout this next series, whether it be the Dodgers or the Padres. In a 7-game series, regardless, no matter who it is, we're going to need that. We got to stay ready and hungry. Yes, we do. If the Braves beat the Dodgers, they will win it all. I think so, too. They would obviously have the momentum. They would have just beat a team that was the favorite on the National League side. I think they can beat the Rays. I think the Rays are kind of the Dodgers of the American League. I think they're expected to win. The only series I really remember from this season against the Rays, we split it with them. It was a 4-game series, and we split it with them. So we're right there with that level of team. I think the National League is going to have the best competition in the championship series. I really do. And I think it's going to probably be between the Braves and the Dodgers. Cool thing is Max can go in game one again because of the sweep. That's a great favor for us. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of hoping that the Dodgers get stretched out by the Padres. I think they got to get 4 or 5 games in. Not to say that one more game isn't going to be that big of a deal, but if they go 5 by chance, and it's kind of unlikely now, but if that was to happen, it would be a very big deal. But yeah, Max can go game one, and we can start right over again. The guys that you're most likely to see, obviously the rosters are going to change again, but the guys that you're most likely going to see after Kyle Wright would be probably Bryce Wilson or Huascar Ynoa. So we're going to have to wait and see. But, hopefully, those guys will be able to do what Kyle Wright did today and really perform. I think San Diego to challenge a game or to put LA on short rest. Yeah, that's kind of what I just said. Yeah, for sure. Let's go Braves. Falcons can't do it. Fair enough. They're saying Soroka might be ready by May at the rate he's at. That would be great. But this is going to sound bad when I say it. I don't mean this as a knock on Soroka, but I don't think the Braves need him in the regular season. I think if they just had him for the postseason, similar to how we were with, again, don't read too much into this, but similar to how we were with Cole Hamels this year, we really just wanted him for the postseason because we didn't need him really to get through the regular season. We made it through without him. With that said, Soroka in the postseason would be a huge asset. Cole Hamels, a healthy Cole Hamels would have been a huge asset right now. But this wasn't in the cards. I'm not going to lie, though. When the pitch hit d'Arnaud's ankle, I almost fell off my chair knowing what he has gone through his whole career thus far. Yeah. But, the way they've been hitting our players lately, it wouldn't have surprised me. But I wasn't too worried. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about when he was behind the plate. My bad. I was a little bit worried, and then he started smiling, and it made me feel a lot better. But, that dude has come back from a lot. Catchers are tough, though, as they said on the broadcast today. They're really tough. So just try to remember that. I think d'Arnaud's going to be fine. Braves are so fun to watch. Yep. Good to see Pache get some time. He's already showing his speed and glove. I wish they would have given him a swing. Oh, Pablo a swing though. Uh Maybe by the end of it. I just don't see it. My dad disagrees with me on this. I just don't see Pablo getting in at bat. Not I don't see him getting a start over Riley. I don't see him coming in for Riley unless Riley goes 0 for 4 and we're in extras or something. I just don't see it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't mind him getting in that bat with 7 runs up, but in a huge situation, I just don't know if I'm for it. I mean, granted, they might know something I don't, but I just don't see it. Yeah, and it was good to see Pache get some time. I was one and made it to the postseason. They went and celebrated out in Chattahoochee Falls in the outfield. And this year they didn't do that, and they made it a point not to do that. They celebrated, they realized, that it was a big accomplishment that they had done this again. But yeah, I think so too. I think they have a different attitude. They came out with that Respect Atlanta, thing on their shirt. I think, I think they want the ring, obviously, but I think they have a different attitude about it this year. I completely agree with you. I actually spoke to Kevin McAlpin about that, and he completely backed you up on that. All right. Wright showed he can get out of trouble multiple times in one game. Love that. What are your thoughts on Adini starting at third over Austin Riley? I don't want to see it personally. I think Austin Riley has more potential to be an influence offensively, and I think he's a better fielder right now. I don't mean that as a knock on Adini, but Adini towards the end of the regular season had a lot of errors at third, and I just don't think that's his spot. And that might be from lack of playing time, but we don't need somebody who's struggling because of lack of playing time in there right now. And he was obviously struggling from that. Wouldn't mind seeing Charlie play around the field a little bit. I hate seeing him in the dugout looking on. But with no DH or with a DH rather, there's just no opportunity for somebody like those guys to really get playing time. That is so true, but we paid Cole Hamels $18 million for 4 innings. That's 4.5. Yeah, I know. But Cole, look, I would rather Cole Hamels go up to the Braves up front and say, "Look, guys, I'm not going to make it for the postseason," than him go to the postseason and throw an inning and give up 12 runs because he's fatigued in his shoulder. So as much as it pains me to throw money away, I would rather him do that than leave us blind. He obviously had a pretty good. I want to say he had a decent performance that day. It wasn't great. It wasn't spectacular or anything, but he had a decent performance. But I would rather him just be up front and say, "Look, this is the situation," and the Braves made their choice on that. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks, but at the end of the day, if he's not going to be able to do it, give a young guy a shot. That's kind of where my head's at with that. Which Braves player can you see being the X factor in this upcoming series? Well, I'll tell you, the guy who's really surprised me is not so much an offensive guy. It's actually been Tyler Matzik. They call him the Death Star apparently because he likes Star Wars, and he's really been the secret weapon for him in the bullpen. He's a guy that can go multiple innings, and he's a guy that's really impressed this season and the regular season. He took 2 years off from the major leagues. He's really impressed this year. He's a guy that I could see being an X factor. I think Travis d'Arnaud kind of came out of nowhere this series. 2 homers, almost another one today, got a double off the wall, but just absolutely performing. Dansby Swanson to me is the guy who, if the Braves are winning, he seems to be doing well too. That's just kind of how it goes with him. He's a guy who likes big time situations, but a guy who I think could be the X factor, just pop off. If you're asking me like a pick the click type of thing, I would probably go with Austin Riley just because I think he has the potential to really pop off. He's a guy, he's, as y'all call it, streaky. You didn't like that about Dansby early on. I heard a lot of people say that Dansby's real streaky and they didn't like that about him, but he's been consistent this year. I think Riley's going to have a consistent year like that in a couple of years, but the guy can hit. He's had better at bats this year. I think it's about time that he has a postseason homer. I think this series could be that time, but we're gonna have to wait and see. You never really know. Mark Lemke was always a guy Mark Lemke was always a guy that had a really good postseason, but not so great during the regular season. So you never really know. But if I had to make a pick right now, I'm going with Austin Riley. Justin Retman, just an at bat, a pinch hit. You must be talking about Pache. Yeah, that's all I was really looking for. 7 runs on the board. Why not give him a shot? But I guess they just wanted to get done with the series with the Marlins and not risk anything. And I get that, but I was hoping he'd get a shot. I think any fan would want to see the top prospect get a shot. But it is what it is. Austin and Duvall are the only ones that feel out of tune in the starting 9 to me. For right now, I would say so. But those are 2 guys. You give them 6 days rest. You give them a couple days in a cage to get right. They'll pop off. They just will. Duvall has proven himself to be worth whatever we're paying him extensively. Austin is a guy who has plenty of potential. Plays a great third base, and I think he'll be fine. The lineup doesn't need help. It just doesn't. There's not really a hole there. Austin has had some big hits as well. He had a seeing eye single in game 2 that drove in a couple runs, I believe, or started off an inning. He had a excuse me swings double the other day down the first baseline. He's had some hits. He's had some important hits. The excuse me swing hit, I believe, started that big inning in game 1 that really got it popped off, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I do believe that's what happened. Don't forget about Newcomb. Go Braves. Yeah. There's still a chance with the change of rosters that, Newcomb or Fulte or Tookie could be brought up to replace a Pablo Sandoval or somebody like that. I don't think it's likely, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Braves went with some more pitching just in case kind of a thing. I wouldn't mind it. I know I've talked about it a lot on this channel. I really wouldn't mind it. Fultonevich and Tookie, I know, are on the taxi squad right now. So if somebody gets hurt, the Braves can go to them. I wouldn't mind that if they, replace Pablo, with a pitcher. It just wouldn't. I wouldn't mind it. And I know that that's not the popular opinion, but I wouldn't mind it. The Atlanta Kid. Well, Pablo has lots of history with LA and San Diego, so keep that in mind. That is a big reason why I think he's in the clubhouse. But if he's not going to be on the field, I don't know. I need a guy that I need a guy that's going to perform. And I don't mean that as a knock. I know experience is a big thing, but when you got coaching, you don't need a coach, on the roster. And we have Ron Washington. We got Rick Kranitz. There's a lot of guys that know baseball, and I get he has a lot of history with them, but I really want to see somebody that can perform. And look, if the Braves don't do it and they keep him in there, I wouldn't be mad about it, but I really want to see a pitcher in that spot or in another spot, whoever they replace. By the way, hang on, sorry guys. By the way, am I the only one that thinks Garrett Cooper looks like a young Jeff Blauser? I can't be the only one that thinks that every time he comes to the plate. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there. I'll ask. I didn't watch the '90s. I wasn't on Earth yet. But I'll ask my dad. But I've seen some Jeff Blauser highlights. I agree with you for sure. Every team has a respect city name on their shirt, so it was normal. Yeah, but it's the overall attitude that I'm talking about. The shirts are just kind of part of it. But the overall attitude of the Braves right now, they want to win. And, Freddie Freeman last year, if you remember, he was interviewed and he was asked about, you guys had a lot of success this year. How do you feel about it? And he said, we did win a World Series. So the goal is obviously to win the big one. And I think that's the goal now. I think that's what the goal has always been. They're going to have to do it, but we're going to have to wait and see. Brave starter stepping up big time. Yes, they are, for sure. Absolutely. They're stepping up big time. I hope it continues. For the rest of this postseason, just get us through this year. If we win a World Series on the way, that's great. But they have done exceptionally well considering the circumstances. Good experience and good composure from these young pitchers. Yeah, Ian Anderson, Kyle Wright, the poise they have on the mound is just very impressive for somebody that, Kyle Wright's like my age. I'm only 21, so Kyle Wright's right around there. For a guy to step up in the major leagues, and do that, it's impressive. Ian Anderson, same thing. Max Fried is another one. You don't realize how young Max Fried actually is. Mike Soroka. I know he's not here right now, but Mike Soroka, he was kind of the first one, just, how confident he is on the mound. He doesn't panic no matter what the circumstances are. And that's something that is carried over to the young staff as a whole. John Surratt, based on Austin Riley's work in the offseason with seeing and hitting breaking balls, do you see him playing a factor in this series? I think he plays a big factor in the series. He's not a hole in the lineup. He's a great 9-hole hitter. You got to pitch to him because you got Acuna on deck with Tyler Edmond. But you got Acuna on deck. You got to pitch to him. And, he probably is going to see a lot of fastballs there, and he could turn a fastball. We all know that. So we're going to have to see. I think he could. I think he could strike out 3 times a game. It's kind of hit or miss. It's hard to, on Freddie Freeman's case, this series, because he hasn't done exceptionally well at the plate. But you got to remember, you're judging this guy off of one game. He's had a 10-year career, and you're judging him off of a 7-game series. So you just remember, Austin Riley's young. He could definitely play a role in this series, a big role. If he comes up to one at bat and hits a 4-run shot, that's obviously, or a grand slam rather, that's obviously a big deal. But if he comes up and has 3 big hits, that's just as big a deal to me. Somebody that can just really perform, up and down the lineup. In our lineup, think about it, up and down. I don't see a hole. The only 2 holes that I could possibly see are Nick Markakis and Austin Riley, and I don't view them as that. They have good at bats. They have long at bats. Austin Riley drew a walk today on 8 pitches. So just remember, there's more to it than hitting a homer. So and that's a guy that has good at bats, and I think he could play a role in this series for sure. I don't think it was all wasted money. I believe Hamels helped in the clubhouse when he was there, especially with Fried. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I think that's probably part of why Kyle Wright has adapted so much this year. Ian Anderson probably got some help out of Cole Hamels. So yeah, I completely agree with you, especially with Max Fried. They were throwing together a lot. I completely agree with you. And like I said, it'd be different if Cole Hamels. It would be different if he just didn't tell us that something was wrong and we got to the postseason and he wasn't able to perform. Now, we didn't really expect much out of him, and I hate to say that because the guy's been an excellent player for years. But yeah, I would say that Hamels. There's a lot more to Hamels, similar to how you feel about Pablo Sandoval, guys. There's a lot more to Hamels in the clubhouse than there is, on the field for this year. Thanks, Blake. I appreciate it, buddy. Nick, I'm going with Nicola. Nicola, I had the feeling that Freddie would finally get a couple of key hits today, and hopefully his bat stays hot in the NLCS. Yeah, I hope so. Again, we're facing excellent pitching. They're going to go after Freddie the hardest. They're going to go after Acuna the hardest, and they're going to go after Ozuna the hardest. The good thing about Freddie is that you have Ozuna hitting behind him, and Freddie is hitting behind Acuna. That's what's so great about our lineup. You can't just walk somebody, because then who you get to face a guy that had the most homers in the National League this year if you walk Freddie. Congratulations. Now instead of giving up a hit to Freddie, you might give up a 2-run shot to Ozuna. That's the difficult thing about this lineup, and that's going to be the difficult thing about the Dodgers lineup if we face them. There's no hole in it. They have a lot of power in it, but it's up and down the lineup. And I think a guy like Austin Riley does that in the bottom of the lineup, a power hitter, and a guy like Nick Markakis who can sprinkle a double in every now and again. He had a big hit the other day down the line. I really think that our lineup is dynamic. I think it has a lot of ways it can score the long ball, base hits, doubles. It has a lot of ways it can score, and I think that's a good thing. Good riddance, Marlins. Okay, fair enough. I get it. You aren't old enough to remember Mark Lemke. I never saw him play. I was born in '99. With that said, Mark Lemke was my first autograph I ever got. He's over here somewhere. It was my 7th or 8th birthday. I was at Turner Field. I was walking around, and I just happened to run into Mark Lemke and Leo Mazzoni sitting in the stand somewhere. And I didn't know who they were, I'll be honest with you. But Dad actually pointed them out and said that I needed to go get their autograph, and I did. So Mark Lemke is my first autograph. So I know I have a little bit of a special history with Mark Lemke. He's very nice, and he was a stud in the postseason. So let me see. A lot of you guys have commented since that comment, so I'm trying to keep up with you guys, but it's hard. I've met Lemke multiple times. My uncle actually battled for position with Lemke way back in the day in Double-A, and we know who won at this point in time. Yeah, for sure. Lemke, he's a good infielder too, for sure. When I met Lemke, he was very nice to me. I've met him a couple times as I've gotten older. Always been very nice to me. Fulte or Newcomb in the pen. I know I'm going to get grief for this, but I would say Fulte. I like him coming out of the pen. The guy has velocity. If he's got a good slider, like the rumor mill says, then put him in the bullpen. I'm okay with that. But our bullpen doesn't need help. I wouldn't mind if. I mean, really, I wouldn't mind. And this, I know I'm going to get grief for saying this. You're going to get me in trouble, Blake. I wouldn't mind if Bryce Wilson was to go 3 innings in his start in Game 4. I'm assuming against the Dodgers or the Padres, whoever it may be. I wouldn't mind Fulte coming in for 3 innings if he's ready to go, which I think he might be. But they know better than I do. They have eyes on him. And it really is up to the Braves. If Newcomb's the guy, then so be it. But I think Fulte. I like a guy that blows people away, especially out of the bullpen. I like velocity. And Newcomb's got some velocity, but not like Fulte. Newcomb relies a lot more on that curveball. And I just don't think that's as effective as a guy that can go mid-90s. Could Drew Waters get a shot? Switch hitter is always nice. I don't think so. I've actually met Drew Waters. I actually interviewed him a couple years ago. It's not on the channel, but I did interview him. Drew Waters is a guy. Remember spring training? Pache had a pretty good spring training. Drew Waters did not, and I think that's kind of why we're at where we're at. I just don't see it. Switch hitting is nice, but the offense doesn't need help. The outfield doesn't need help. Pache can't even get a start. So I just don't see it. But I think he's the guy of the future. I think he's the guy that we could see sooner rather than later next year.